Two roads diverged in the yellow wood, and I did choose the one less traveled. But in my case, it was the not traveled for a reason, for there had been many traps set aside hiding in the high grass. I did as only one can do, bury my head in the sand and continue to burrow through, praying that the next step I take would not be the one where the landmine took me out for good. It was evident early on that the path I took was the wrong one, but it was too late to turn around. The other had disappeared once my choice was made. I trotted carefully at first, laying out a stick and letting that set off any traps ahead of me. Then, as it became more evident that this path would either sharpen me or end with my premature demise, I decided to test fate and run through blindly full speed ahead. The path was not well lit, and in the shadows I knew I had seen the same trees a time or two. Yet I was prepared to run around in circles if it meant I'd survive. For not succeeding, but surviving, had become the name of the game. After several trips of noticing the same tree and stumbling over the same rock, I decided to tempt fate and create my own path. That didn't bode well for me as I fell through to a trap door in the ground into a hole that wasn't meant for a man to climb out of alone. I lay there, first too wounded to even attempt to climb out. Then, being as resourceful as I thought myself to be, I used everything within my reach to try to climb out. I didn't want to call out for help, not knowing the attention I'd draw to myself and be prey for another hungry traveler. Yet nothing would even get me close to the top, which in this case was ground level. Then passersby would attempt to lay out a branch for me to hang on to and try to climb my way out. But after several failed attempts, they would leave me stranded to continue on with their own journeys. There I stood and sometimes laid, a trapped, wounded animal with little to no hope of ever reaching ground level, let alone traveling further on this less traveled path. Then came a friend, not traveling the path, but that had came looking for me as he knew the path I had taken and had not seen me clear it yet and grew concerned. He came prepared with rope and grapple and equipped with anything I could need to not only get out of the hole, but to finish my journey. After several attempts, we got me out of the hole. It was more of him doing the heavy lifting, for my body was too weary from all the other attempts. But he had set me back upon my path. I allowed him to leave me, as this was not the path meant for him, but for me to travel alone. He left, and I treaded along, a lot more carefully this time, not to repeat the fall that had crippled me for so long. I lost a lot of time that I wanted to make up, but not at my expense again. I took my time, alert to every change in the terrain that could possibly trip me. Still, no compass to lead me, just a desire to finish. With all the precaution I took, nothing could prepare me for the next hole. It seemed to appear under my feet instead of me walking into it. This hole was different, as it was not a sudden fall. It was more of a quicksand that allowed me to dig my way deeper the more I fought to get out. There was no tree or branch or vine or anything that I could grab hold to stop the sinking, let alone pull my way out. Me being me, I fought with tenacity because I felt nothing I met head on could devour me. Yet the more I fought, the more I sank until I was neck deep. At this point, I was only a moment from watching my head sink below ground level and drowning in the sand. Again, I did not want to cry out for help because I did not know the attention I would draw to myself. And with no hands or feet available, nothing but my head, or what was quickly becoming what was left of my head, to try to protect myself in the sight of danger, But at this point, the writing was on the wall. I no longer could see a path or a way out other than to finish sinking. I had nothing to lose by crying out and everything to gain. So I did. And a voice came to me and said, "My child, I was waiting on you to ask for my help. I've been here all along and watched you choose the wrong path, the wrong methods, watched you fall in that hole, but refused to ask for my help. Who do you think finally sent someone to get you out? Then I watched you foolhardily think you could again figure this out on your own, not needing anyone to help you along the way, knowing the whole time this path was never meant for anyone to walk alone. Here you are. I've allowed you to lose the function of your physical body, taking away everything that you could possibly use to save yourself, except for your mouth and your mind, and yet still you feared to call out worrying about what others may hear or respond to. I knew eventually you'd come to me, even if it was in your darkest hour. And as I promised you before, I'd be right there waiting when you needed me the most. I could watch you make mistake after mistake, but I'd never leave you alone. I will get you out of this sand, but only if you promise me to walk the path I'm laying out for you. You needed to walk that path and fail, or you'd have never surrendered yourself to me. When I get you out, I have a surprise for you that you would never imagine." So as I began to rise out of the sand, I could slowly see what was ahead of me, and I couldn't believe my eyes. Two roads did diverge in the yellow wood, but though different paths as you choose the one to travel, if you make it through to the other side, those roads would converge again. That's a fancy way to tell the story of my life that got me to where I sit right now, risen and new and back on the path that was set before me many years ago. On this path, God had shown me what he had laid out for me all along. Whenever I decided I truly needed him and was ready to let him lead instead of sludging along in the dark. It was at the intersection of this path that I learned God had another traveler that had also been beat up from his travels. And he would introduce us and put us together on the path that through our marriage and traveling would give us great success on our journey.